Hi everyone, it's lovely to see you. I'm Lorna and we're reading The Mystery of the Smuggler's Wreck by Helen Moss, and this is chapter 11. A lot of explaining. While Jack and Emily were spying on Kelly Mann, Scott wasn't far away. In fact, he was next door in the Castle Key cabin interviewing Theo Jarvis. There were no major breakthroughs in the case. Theo confirmed that he hadn't hired out any scuba diving kit to anyone except Scott in the last few days, but they'd ended up having a good long chat about football and bands and computer games. Theo is one cool guy, Scott thought, as he said goodbye and strolled back out onto the seafront. He was about to head back to the lighthouse when he glanced towards Dottie's tea rooms. He spotted three familiar figures crouching outside on the pavement with their noses pressed up against the window. He jogged over to see what was going on, but before he could reach them, Jack, Emily and Drift suddenly stormed into the cafe like a SWAT team on a dawn raid. Scott hurried to follow, catching the door as it rebounded from their dramatic entrance. He was greeted by a scene of total pandemonium. Scott did a double take. He couldn't believe what his eyes were telling him. Had Jack really just snatched a chocolate cake right out of Mrs. Loveday's hand, knocking her cup of tea flying into the air? And was Emily really swiping an entire plate of chocolate cakes from under Kelly Mann's nose and sprinting across the cafe with them? Now Jack and Emily were heading for the door. Neither of them was looking where they were going, and they both crashed into Scott, who held out his arms to block their path. "We've been mugged," Mrs. Loveday squawked, leaping up and dabbing tea from her lap with a napkin, "by a gang of teenage hoodwinks." "You mean hoodlums?" Kelly asked, looking more bemused than frightened. "Exactly," Mrs. Loveday patted her chest as if to check her heart was still beating. "Mindless thugs roaming around the streets, no regard for law-dividing citizens." She glared down at Drift, who was under the table looking for cake crumbs. "Letting their dangerous dogs run out of control too." "Don't worry, Mrs. L," Kelly said, trying to calm the old lady. "It's only Emily from the lighthouse. She's a good kid, I should know. She saved my life the other day." Kelly turned to Jack. "And you're Scott's brother, aren't you?" Kelly looked from the chocolate cake in Jack's hands to the plate in Emily's and back again. "So what's the story, kids? Are you on a scavenger hunt or something?" Before Jack and Emily could answer, Mrs. Loveday was off again. Well, 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 she tutted, scowling at Jack and nodding as if she'd expected something like this all along. "I'm afraid this doesn't surprise me. He's from London, you know." "That's on the mainland," she explained to Kelly, as if being foreign she might not have heard of it. "In London, they'd mug an old lady for a chocolate button, let alone a chocolate cake." "I wasn't mugging you," Jack muttered. "We were just trying to," Emily began, but Mrs. Loveday was in full spate. "And as for you, young lady, you should know better. Carry on like this and you're headed for a life in the criminal underwear." "Criminal underworld," Kelly corrected. "Quite right, dear," Mrs. Loveday folded her arms across her chest. "It's a slippery slope." Scott still had no idea what was going on, but he knew he had to get Emily and Jack away before Mrs. Loveday called the police and had them all carted off to a young offenders unit. He fetched a cloth from the counter and helped mop up. Then he brought Mrs. Loveday a fresh pot of tea. "I'm so sorry," he said in his best charming young man voice. "You'll have to excuse my brother. He's got this unfortunate problem. Sometimes he can't control his actions." Mrs. Loveday looked unconvinced, but Kelly nodded sympathetically. "So that's why he couldn't come on the dive with us," she smiled at Jack. "Poor kid." I haven't," Jack spluttered. Meanwhile, Emily was still standing near the door, holding the plate of chocolate cakes in front of her like a waitress who'd forgotten which table to go to. "Emily's just, very hungry," Scott said, hardly able to believe the feebleness of the cover story that was coming out of his mouth. "Yes, she didn't have time for breakfast or lunch because she's been so busy helping her mum at the lighthouse." Mrs. Loveday sank into her chair and stared at Emily. "Your parents should be ashamed of themselves. That's child exploration." Kelly shook her head. "She's skin and bones, poor little waif." Any minute now, Scott thought, Mrs. Loveday will be reporting Emily's parents to social services. "Come on," he urged Emily in a let's be sensible voice. "Give the cakes back. I'll buy you a pasty." He pushed her firmly towards the table. Emily resisted, clinging onto the plate, looking round desperately with big pleading eyes. Scott just couldn't figure it out. If I hadn't seen her eat several tuna and banana sandwiches 2 hours ago, I'd really believe Emily was starving. Kelly smiled at Emily. It's okay. You keep the cakes. You obviously need them more than we do. Mrs. Loveday didn't look convinced by that argument, but she forced a smile and nodded. Still mumbling apologies, Scott bundled Jack, Emily and Drift out of the cafe. As soon as they were outside, Jack grabbed the plate of cakes from Emily, jumped over the harbour wall and took them off across the beach. Quick, let's chuck them in the sea before we're contaminated. No, don't do that, Emily yelled, racing after him with Drift at her heels. Those cakes are evidence. When Scott caught them up, he found Emily wearing plastic gloves, using tweezers to transfer the cakes into a large evidence bag from her satchel. Scott looked slowly from his brother to his friend and back again. Could someone explain why we're now going round stealing chocolate cakes from old ladies? The explanations lasted all the way to the lighthouse, where the friends flopped down on the sofas in the guest lounge. At first, Scott was doubtful. What with the combination of Jack's overactive imagination and Emily's obsession with smugglers, the two of them had clearly got totally carried away with all this nonsense about Kelly avenging her family's honour. Hello, in case you two hadn't noticed, this is the 21st century, he laughed. The world's moved on. We've got instant messaging and yogurt in a tube and microwave popcorn and everything. You're not seriously saying that Kelly is trying to annihilate Mrs. Loveday's family for something that happened over 200 years ago? But then Emily showed him her photos of Kelly's notes, and Scott started to wonder if they might just have a point, although he still wasn't totally convinced about all the details. How could Kelly man have poisoned those cakes without anyone noticing, he asked. Easy, Jack insisted. While Dottie's back was turned at the counter, she whipped out a little sachet of arsenic or something and sprinkled it on like hundreds and thousands. Scott had to give Jack full marks for creativity. Anyway, Emily said, I don't think Kelly will try anything else just yet. After all that kerfuffle, she'll probably want to lie low for a bit before striking again. We need to plan our next move. Hang on, I haven't told Scott the best bit yet, Jack interrupted. I did loads of research in the library this afternoon. I've got this amazing family tree and everything. It proves that we really are related to the smuggling Carters of Prussia Cove. That's when Emily looked up and saw Kelly Mann in the doorway. Join me for chapter 12.